It tickles. Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to another edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. Another News Roundup? Oh, that definitely means that News Roundups are here again to stay, right? I don't know. You think I planned this stuff? So, we did not end up getting a major Nintendo Direct in June. Did not happen. Should have seen it coming, because we were all assuming it would happen. Didn't happen, and instead, of course, we ended up getting a dedicated Direct for Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and then we just had a partner showcase. Just seeing the name Partner Showcase sent a little shiver of fear down my spine. Reminds me of 2020, when we didn't know when we'd ever get a real Nintendo Direct again. So it started out seeming like kind of the worst case scenario, just like, oh, really? Nothing but third parties. But then it ended up being like a particularly good one, which is frustrating because that means if Nintendo had given some, like, you know, like all the rest of the Directs recently have been so good, if they just given us a couple Nintendo things, it would have made it really, really good. Before I get into the actual thing though, honestly, I think that the strength of this Direct Mini means that we are not gonna get a major Nintendo Direct until like the September one. Like, I don't think they're gonna give us one in July. I think they just didn't have enough to say. We've already got so many games on the schedule. And again, you know, the last year or two of Directs have been so good, it's just kind of like, yeah, I think they just needed to recharge. They probably just don't have enough to give us, you know? Maybe now instead of like giving regularly planned Directs, even if they don't have a lot that kind of end up disappointing us, maybe they'd rather just wait until they have something. So yeah, I kind of don't see it happening until September. And then that'll be the one with Breath of the Wild 2. Definitely. Anyway, highlights from the Direct Mini Partner Showcase include Nier Automata coming to Switch. Seemed inevitable, but they finally did it. Awesome. Super Bomberman R2, a new Bomberman game. What? Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, Mega Man Battle Network Love, what? A remaster of Pac-Man World, what? I've never played that one, but a lot of people seemed happy about it. We got new info on Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope with an October release date. We got a whole bunch of new cool stuff on Sonic Frontiers that we could have just seen anywhere, but just randomly, here, this is the one. We want all the cool stuff in. More stuff on Live, Dragon Quest Treasures. Just like another new Dragon Quest spinoff, awesome. And then Persona 3, 4, and 5, another one of those things like, where is Persona 5? Where is it? Here it is. Finally, it was a matter of time. Finally, along with 3 and 4. So that is super cool. Yeah, ended up being a really, really good partner showcase. So, rumor for a Metroid Prime Trilogy release on Switch has been floating around for a long time. Sometime back, that started to shift into not a Trilogy collection, but just a remaster of Metroid Prime 1. And the second I heard that, I knew it was true because it's that perfect Nintendo thing where it's like, yeah, it is a thing I want, but in a really disappointing way, and they're gonna charge $60 for it, and it's not gonna sell very well. Whatever though, Jeff Grubb seems to be completely sure, like claims from multiple sources completely sure, that it is happening. He says the remaster is pretty much done and planned for the game's 20th anniversary, which will be this November. And he claims that they're doing a pretty good job remastering the first one. Prime 2 and 3 are probably planned for release later, but might not be as big of a remaster thing. I don't know. As always, who knows if any of this is true, but yeah, wouldn't be surprised. A $60 just Metroid Prime remaster. It's too believable, you know? The idea of it being like a really big, really pretty remaster, though, would be pretty cool. Don't just upscale it. You're gonna charge us full price. You gotta make it worth it. So YouTuber Kiwi Talks has been really just landing a lot of really good little tidbits. Just love doing interviews with like ex-Retro Studios employees and stuff, and we get a lot of really great things out of these interviews. An interview with Paul Tozior gives us a little bit of Retro Studios insight. Apparently when they were making Metroid Prime 3, a lot of the team was really heavily influenced by Halo. Not surprising at all, even when I played it back in 2007 or whatever, I could tell, especially with the ship, and then they get attacked, I'm just like, yeah, this is Halo. This has Halo written all over it. But apparently a lot of the people, you know, mainly from Nintendo, did not really want to have it be like influenced by Halo or pretty much any other game at all. You know, Nintendo likes to be very insular. They don't like to look at what everyone else is doing. So there was kind of a butting of heads there of like how much influence they wanted to bring into it. And that's pretty interesting. Also, we've been pretty darn sure that there's been a lot of canceled projects at Retro Studios. And here Paul talks about one, quote, Project X, which is at least one definite canceled project from a good number of years ago. He says the studio really wanted to be able to develop these Nintendo properties on their own, but Nintendo really wants to make sure that they do it right, and so they had Project X, which we don't know what property it would have been, but it sounds like it was going to be another Nintendo property, and it was kind of like their chance to prove their design chops. But he says the game design doc he got was just garbage, and it wasn't fun, and nobody liked it, and they just didn't know what to do with it, and eventually it got canceled. So that's just a really interesting little thing there. In similar news, Did You Know Gaming, always doing very, very good work. Just like translating old articles that have been sitting there forever, but just knowledge that does not exist anywhere except for in the articles, and now we have them. In this new video, they talked about how see, this is where, okay, this is two things right here that surprise me about Miyamoto. Just based on like what we know about Miyamoto, these two things surprise me. Apparently, he was against the Toon art style in Wind Waker. Like, he didn't like it. Made him cringe, apparently. Like, he wanted realistic, cool-looking Zelda, and the rest of the team just kind of fell in love with Toon Link and this art style, and so he was kind of pushing against it for a long time. Yeah, it's just kind of surprising. He's very playful, but I don't know, I guess he had this idea of what Zelda was. And apparently, the Wind Waker, which is like a conductor's baton, was originally going to be a theremin. Not only that, but they were gonna have an actual little theremin kind of device where you play it, like, you know, in the game you use the two sticks, you were gonna use your two hands to be the sticks. The theremin is that thing that you play it without touching it, you just wave your hands around. That was gonna be a thing, and Miyamoto was the one that said no. He was the one that didn't like that. I thought he's all about, like, what's the difference with, you know, when do you want the weird little gimmick that's completely unnecessary, and when, dude, I don't know, maybe he just thought this particular one just wasn't worth it. It sounds like it would have been a real pain and a lot of extra hardware, really not worth it, so I think he made the right decision there. That's crazy, though. The Wind Waker was gonna be a theremin. Which, like, makes total sense when you look at, like, what we actually ended up getting and how you play it. Like, yeah, makes all the sense in the world. Super interesting. Lots of really great little tidbits. Go watch the Did You Know Gaming video for more. So here's a story that started out one way and just got even better. Apparently at the recent shareholder meeting, one of the shareholders asked Furukawa if there's gonna be an FZero game. Like, what about FZero? And he gives like the standard answer of like, oh, you know, we can't always be developing sequels for every single thing, but we really appreciate that people are so into it. So that's all well and good, but apparently that shareholder was one Momiji, who bought over $40,000 of stocks in the company. That is the bare minimum to get you into the shareholder meetings, and then by just complete luck, complete coincidence, actually got to be one of the people who asked a question at the end, and that was the FZero question. Awesome. Can I pay $40,000 to just like say one thing to Furukawa or like ask one question or something? Because that sounds like a deal. Fire Emblem Heroes is Nintendo's very first mobile game to earn over $1 billion. And that, of course, does also make it the most profitable Fire Emblem game, probably by a wide margin. And that is cool, but you know me, it is unfortunate that, like, you know, it's the gacha games, it's the loot boxes, it's the free-to-play game with the loot boxes. People love the free-to-play games with the loot boxes. And that's Fire Emblem Heroes, and then you even see like the little graph here of all the different games that Nintendo has done. And what are the best-selling ones? Yeah, it's the free-to-play with the loot boxes, and then it just goes down from there. Yeah, it's cool, I guess. Can't say it doesn't work? So apparently Nintendo has dramatically increased their purchasing of raw materials. You know, raw materials presumably to make stuff, manufacture stuff, probably consoles. Their previous highest for this generation was in 2019, and this is double. This is double that. Of course, we've had, you know, shortages of chips and all that stuff. Some of this could be just kind of stockpiling while they have the chance. But it really does seem to point to some sort of new hardware coming up soon in this next fiscal year. It is the right time for some sort of Switch revision, a more dramatic one than the OLED. I do think it's coming. Just looking at their, not even just because I want a Switch Pro or whatever, but even just looking at their past systems, this is the time to do it. This is the exact point in the generation, this next year, to refresh the hardware, just kind of like reinvigorate interest in it. So I would not be surprised at all if this massive increase in raw material spending does end up leading to some sort of new hardware. But we'll have to wait and see. So Nintendo just introduced a Switch repair service. Right now it's only available in Japan. It's called Wide Care, and you can pay, it's like a couple dollars a month or the equivalent of like $15 a year. And this covers up to 6 like repairs, but it's not just Joy-Cons. It seems to be like everything, including the Switch system itself. So it's like the knee-jerk reaction is your hardware is so unreliable that you're charging us for you to fix it, like that it should all be free. But then on the other hand, that's really not a lot of money at all. And if it covers the Switch system itself too, and apparently it also covers accidental damage. So that, when you consider that, it kind of makes it like a really, really affordable insurance policy. So, I don't know, I kind of want to wait until like more info comes out on this, because yeah, it definitely like, both of those things, like you shouldn't be charging us, but also like, really? Accidental stuff? Like that's pretty good. We don't know if it's gonna come to other territories or anything, but once again, I suppose we'll have to wait and see. The Switch received a firmware update, but apparently this is a special kind of update, a silent update, where it can update your Switch without you having to reset the system. The last time this happened was way back in 2020, and it seems that the only time this happens with a silent update is specifically to update the bad words list on the Switch. Update it with imagine that job. Imagine that's your job. You're sitting in an office in Tokyo or something, and you're like coming up with all the bad words, all the potential, just everything you possibly can, and just every couple of years you update that bad word list on Switch. Kirby Cafe in Japan has updated their menu with summer items. Here you can see lots of very delightful, oh, with the little Kirby on, oh, it's too much. But of course, the star of the show, a little Kirby, a little mouthful mode car, Kirby cake. It's freakishly adorable, and I want to eat it. Nintendo dropped a new song from Splatoon 3. Apparently, the members of Off the Hook have, they're on the road, and they've formed a new act, Damp Socks, and this song is candy-coated rocks, so if you like Splatoon music, there's a new music for you. In an interview with Shack News, Suda51 talked about the, you know, just like the hypothetical idea of a No More Heroes movie, and he said if it ever does happen, he would probably want James Gunn or Takashi Miike to direct, but then to play the part of Travis Touchdown, Ryan Gosling. I don't see it. I don't know. I mean, Travis, he's so snarky, he's so, I don't know, Ryan Gosling with he's got a baby face, I don't know. But hey, Suda51, he's the No More Heroes guy, so I guess I trust him. We'll see if that movie ever happens. First 4 figures, what do they got for us today? Well, I'll tell you, they got a nice Hylian shield. This is actually one of their more affordable, I think just kind of like smaller statues. It's just a little Hylian shield, but it looks really nice, so if you're into that kind of thing, go check that out. And finally, Speedrunner Limcube has, oh my gosh, the Breath of the Wild stuff. It never stops. It never stops. He's completed all 120 shrines in the game with no runes. None. You know, that whole thing with the shrines, the whole entire point is all the puzzles where you use the runes. That's the entire point. Yeah, no runes, all 120. did it. Just like just a crazy series of just like glitches and just weirdness. But yeah, go check out the video because that's a lot. That's a lot right there. That, my friends, is it for this edition of the Nintendo News Roundup. Please tune in next time for another News Roundup coming soon. Maybe, I don't know, if I feel like it. I don't know, I'm gonna go have a nap.